The Labatt Buffalo main event. Bob Gaughan along with Brad Ryder. And coming up on today's show, Brad and I will talk hockey with Paul Hamilton from WGR Radio. We'll discuss the NFL playoffs and also Turner Gill's contract extension. But first, Brad, we would begin with the Buffalo Sabres. The big news coming out this week was that Brian Campbell doesn't want to talk to the Buffalo Sabres anymore about a contract extension. With the trade deadline coming up, do you trade Brian Campbell?
No chance. There's no way I'm trading Brian Campbell.
Why?
I don't see this as news. I understand it's a story if Brian Campbell comes out and says, I'm no longer negotiating, but haven't we known for a while that the Sabres aren't really in the business of doing that? I know that they've broken it a little bit. Jochen Hash signed while he was still under contract. They got an extension done there, but generally speaking, it's a Sabres team that doesn't negotiate with players anyway. So a guy saying, I'm no longer talking to somebody that I assumed wasn't talking to him anyway, isn't a huge deal. I think what we're finding out is what we already knew. Brian Campbell becomes an unrestricted free agent. Brian Campbell walks away. But
okay, there you go. I agree with that.
Did you think at any point that this deal was going to get done?
No, I agree with you. I agree 100%. He's going to become an unrestricted free agent. He's going to leave. So that means you got to trade him. You have to trade him at the trade deadline. You have to get something for the guy. You just let Drury, you let Briere walk out, and you got nothing for him. You got to get something for Brian Campbell. And I have no hope whatsoever that they are going to come. The only way I wouldn't trade him is if I had any hope that they would actually be able to sign him when he becomes an unrestricted free agent.
What about the playoffs? Aren't you going to want your best defenseman in the playoffs?
Do I think this team can win a Stanley Cup? If I thought that they could win a Stanley Cup, then I would say, yes, I want Brian Campbell because they can win a Stanley Cup. But the fact is, I think they're going to lose Brian Campbell. I think they're going to be looking, just like they looked for like that fast-moving puck, defenseman like Phil Housley. That they looked
or like
for,
Brian Campbell?
Like Brian Campbell. Right. Yeah, they're going to be looking for Brian Campbell for years to come. Yeah. And again, I just think you got to get something for the guy unless you really think that you can sign him. And I don't think they can.
There's a way better chance of signing him if he's on the team than if you let him walk away.
Here's what I do. I got the plan.
Okay.
Darcy, if you're listening, here's the plan. Forget about the fact that I'm not negotiating. Just let that go aside. You say
it's fake anyway.
It's fake anyway, right?
I'm not negotiating with you.
Right.
But if you call me and make me an offer that sounds good to me,
then
I'm not negotiating. I'll accept it.
So you go and you give your best offer in the next week or so. You say, whatever you think the max is. Is it 5.5? Whatever it is for the Buffalo Sabres.
Right.
You give him the max offer in the next 2 weeks, say to his agent, I don't care that you're not negotiating. This is our best offer. And if he rejects it, and that's your best offer, boom, you got to trade him.
Okay.
And that's what has got to. So that has got to happen.
So
that means in the next month. Well, it's got to happen. So in the next month, I want to hear that they either signed him or they traded him. And the reason they traded him was because they gave him the best offer and he rejected it. It's got to happen, I think. At least that's my opinion.
Sure.
All right. Coming up next is the NFL playoffs. AFC, NFC championship game. It's going to be the New England Patriots, shock of all shocks, against the New York Giants. Your thoughts on the AFC and NFC championship games?
It really seemed like yesterday the Patriots could have gone away with a whimper, didn't it?
Yeah.
It hadn't occurred to me that when they do leave, now we've only got one opportunity left, but it wouldn't have even been a big, dramatic anything. It was the Chargers were competitive. They're a good football team. If they're healthy, if Tomlinson's playing that whole game, what did he play the first drive and that was it?
Yeah.
If Rivers
has one healthy knee.
Yeah, if he can stand,
how about if North Turner doesn't punt on
what is that?
It's first of all,
what is that?
It's 4th and 10 on the 36.
Greg Williams against the Patriots.
Yeah, 4th and 10 on the 36. You need 2 scores, and he punts. I got news for you.
What, 9 minutes left?
Whatever. Yeah. When you punt, there's a good chance that New England gets the ball on their own 36 in 2 plays anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well go for it, right?
As it turns out, they never even get the ball back.
They never get the ball back.
That was it. Are you trying to get to the Super Bowl or are you trying to lose the game? How on earth do you give the ball back there?
And maybe it's just hope against hope. And I know the spread came out already, and it's like New England's a 14-point favorite over the Giants. But the Giants' defensive line dominated that game against Green Bay. They did play a close game in the last game of the regular season. I have a little bit of hope just because the Giants' defensive line, that if they can stop Maroney, make him one-dimensional, get a little pressure on Brady, maybe they can make this a game.
I think the Giants can give them a game, and I think it's going to be certainly an interesting matchup.
Last subject in this segment, word comes out that the NFL owners are going to approve that the Buffalo Bills play 1 game in Toronto. This good news for Bills fans?
Did my ticket price just go down $42?
Absolutely, it did.
Better have, right?
Yes, it did.
Fine, that's cool. By the 8 games plus 2 preseason games, plus I went to Cleveland this year. I was done with football. I was done with being out in the cold by the end of the year. Take one of those out of the mix. I think it's obviously a good move for the franchise to further
expand their base.
Yeah, expand their fan base.
And it also tells.
I don't take it as a big scary sign that they're going to Toronto and they're going to leave. Sure, why not? I think no-brainer, very smart move, and that's why it's so obviously going to be approved.
Well, and that's why Jerry Jones wanted Ralph Wilson to prove to him, if they're going to, the Jerry Jones type of owners,
Sure.
that if they're going to ask for money from us, we want you to prove that you're doing everything possible of expanding your base. And that's exactly what they're doing by this, right? You expand to Rochester, you expand to Toronto, and now, listen, we proved to you that we're doing everything we possibly can to bring revenue in. So since we're not making as much revenue as new, we need revenue sharing. And I think that that's why this is an important move for the Buffalo Bills. Coming up next, it is the O Restaurant and Lounge email segment. Brad and I will answer your questions off the web on BuffaloMainEvent.com.
Short-term memory loss is something we all joke about. I forgot where I put my keys. I forgot what I wanted when I walked into the room. Those are common occurrences that happen to absolutely every person. And there's places out there that can help assess whether or not your loved one is really in the earlier stages of having a true memory impairment problem, or if it's just the routine forgetfulness that comes with day-to-day life. Bristol Village offers an exclusive memory care program, so call for help early.
Bristol Home and Bristol Village. Assisted living where family matters.
The 3rd annual Labatt Blue USA Hockey Pond Hockey Championship, Eagle River, Wisconsin. Grab your own pond hockey helmet toque in specially marked cases. No purchase necessary, must be at least 21 years of age or older.